There's this moment when people stop panicking and start feeling proud of how fast they're moving. Rushing feels decisive, but in all actuality, it's doing the total opposite. You're not deciding anything. You're actually destroying that exact autonomy that you think you're feeling at that moment. Rushing feels grown. You are making a decision off impulse like a little kid. You're letting your emotions get the best of you. So it's not grown at all, even though it may feel like that in the moment. I know it may feel like I'm handling it, I'm doing the right thing because I'm getting closer to the tunnel. I'm getting closer to the end of the light. You are really just pulling yourself back. Rushing is not the answer. You have to slow down sometimes. Because when you rush, all you're doing is setting yourself up to make a dumb mistake. And I'm just being honest. Because when people rush, it's not because they have control. They do it just to, quiet their anxieties. You got this feeling of discomfort, so you try to rush to the finish line so you don't feel all of the anxieties that you're feeling at the moment. You're trying to rid yourself from that. So the first thing you do, let me jump to it. Let me jump to the finish line. You're not using your noggin. You're thinking with your heart. But it ain't your fault. That's just the natural way our brain goes when we're in anxiety. It's more of a fight or flight. But if you realize it, you will know how to handle it when you get in those situations. Speed may feel like maturity, but it's not. All that's happening is that pressure is too loud for you to understand your logic. When you're in discomfort, don't turn to speed. Turn to slowing down and thinking. I'm going to say it again. Speed feels like maturity when pressure is loud. It does. I be thinking to myself, like, I don't know why Russian gets praised so much. But I kind of have an idea. It usually comes from your circle, the people around you, family, friends, co-workers, people that you're just familiar with, that you see on a day-to-day basis, people who know you. Because those are the ones who are going to encourage action more than anyone else. They don't know too much about it, but yet they're going to have the most influence on your decision making. When the person that should have the most influence on your decision making is who? You. Yes, I know you want to have it to where all of the people around you are proud of you. But rushing is not going to make them proud of you at the end of the day, at the end all be all. Because once you get close to the finish line and you're unprepared because of lack of preparation, they're going to act like they were proud. At least you did this, at least you did that. But then you're not going to be proud of your own star player. You're not going to be proud of yourself. You're not. And what's most important than any of that is how you feel about yourself. Forget what anyone else is saying. Because at the end of the day, your family is going to reward movement. Look at them go, or look at her go, whoever's watching this. And while they are rewarding movement and you are listening to that and you're just moving instead of positioning, all you doing is doing yourself a disservice. Yes, love your family, love your friends, respect their opinions, yes. But when it comes to the decision making that's going to affect you, your career, your goals, you have to listen to that person within over everyone else. Take everything else with a grain of salt. Don't get caught up in believing that urgency is a form of leadership, because it's not. Neither is slowing down. But we're talking about rushing due to pressure. Don't go in that direction if it's going to affect the outcome of your all in be all. You have to judge the situation for what it is. Judge it for what it is. Do you. And just understand that nobody claps for restraint, they clap for motion. So if you're not moving, they looking at it as if you're not on the road to your victory. It's not true. You have to clap for slowing down, thinking logically, make the best decision for that particular situation. Don't let everyone else's influence pull you down. Use your own influence to pull you up. You know what I started noticing just going through life is how much Russian feels confident when it's not. Russian makes you feel like, yeah, I'm a winner. I'm getting the job done. I got this. When you don't, trust me, I know. I've rushed to get myself out of a lot of jams. Sometimes, I came out okay, but the majority of the times, I end up falling on my ass. Excuse my language. I know how, when you got to meet a deadline and the quicker you rush the problem out, you feel me, certainty becomes more prevalent. You feel like, yeah, I'm almost there. And then when it's all said and done, look, big, stupid mistake. And that's because rushing is not certainty. Soon as you mistake rushing for certainty, flexibility disappears altogether. All of your options, poof, you already just chose to speed things up. Terrible idea. I know it's not really your fault. That's our first instinct, to go into rush when we feel like we are in a stressful situation. And it's just something I started noticing when I start looking at how most people handle under pressure situations. People didn't rush because they were careless. They rushed because in their minds they thought that was the responsible option, as well as I. But I'm here to tell you, it's not. I almost felt victim to the same issue. Like I said in the last video, me rushing my title, felt like I was trying to gain a form of control, but I had to think back and catch myself. I could have easily just, soon as I finished my real estate exam, I finished my course, I took the exams and I passed everything. I could have just pulled the trigger. It's not like I don't have the money. I could have paid for everything and just became a real estate agent and bragged about it on my social media. Like, I'm officially a real estate agent. which I was, I had the urge to do that. That was calling, like, yo, let's get this ball. I was getting impatient, like, yo, let's get this ball on the road. But I had to take a step back. Woosah, woosah, hold on now. Is that the right decision right now for me in my situation? Knowing that I got these other obligations coming up? What makes more sense now? Would rushing make sense? Never will make sense. You feel me? Does fake urgency make sense? No. Does slowing down make sense right now? Yes. Yes, it does. You already got the hard parts out the way. Now it's time to strategically land the plane. If I would have just succumbed to it and chose speed over clarity, I would have been a real estate agent right now for 3 months, and then, there is other expenses that would be piled on to my situation right now. So I will be paying other expenses that I really don't even need to be paying, because I know I'm not officially starting right now, because I can't. So it wouldn't be logical of me to make that decision based on, how everyone else feels. All right, you passed the test. Why you not doing nothing? You ain't even doing nothing. You don't know what I'm doing. You not in my mind. I already showed, that I have the grit and dedication to finish what I started. So why you even second guessing me in the first place? That's how I be feeling. And like these words started getting to me a little bit. People telling me like, yo, like, I know you passed all your tests. Why you not, you're not working as a real estate agent already? Why you not doing a job? Had me almost second guessing myself, like, word, I should just start getting the ball on the road now, listening to them. But I chose not to do that. I chose to, absorb the discomfort and sit in the feeling of this discomfort instead of exporting that out, if that makes any sense. Because I could have easily, released all my discomforts by pulling the trigger on my real estate license. But nah, I'm going to stick to my order. I know what's right for me. Because rushing only solves anxiety, it doesn't solve problems. Strategic thinking is what solves problems. Am I right or wrong? You guys let me know, you feel me, in the comments if y'all remember any times to where y'all rushed out a problem, if it came out good. In 90% of those situations, when you rush, did it come out good? I know there's the outliers, but was that the majority of the time? And I know that if I'm going to be successful in real estate as a hardship advisor, I'm going to have to be able to, communicate this to my clients. How timelines are going to be moving, whether people are rushing or not. Because at the end of the day, none of that matters to the timeline. So I have to communicate that this is where we at, this is the timeline, and help them make a decision to move in a strategic way so we can get to the end goal properly in a best case scenario at the end. And that they can't just look at their situation and choose speed over everything. We can choose speed, but we can do it in a strategic way, not emotionally. Let's slow down. Let's look at our options. Because if you just go strictly to rushing and using speed, you get rid of your optionality. We need those options available. We need to know what's the options. And we need to know how we can deliver based on the options that we were given. I have to be able to communicate that to my clients, because I'm going to deal with people who is going to succumb to their pressure and make rash decisions and try to rush the process or either take too long. So I got to help them slow down and let's think about this the right way. Because calm decisions takes a lot more courage than the loud ones. If you get my drift, we have to be responsible, and our decision making is affected by that. If you make the wrong decision or irresponsible decision based on, your feelings of anxiety and urgency, you can make a worse situation even worse. And as we all know, pressure punishes performative responsibility. So basically, responsibility usually looks way slower than people expect. So the moral of the story is, I don't think rushing means you care more. I think it means that you're just trying to quiet something. Neither do I think that slowing down means you care more. I believe strategic thinking and logical understanding of a situation and picking the right decision based on your circumstances is responsibility. But that's my take. It's Manny Sharp. Peace.